Hey everyone, I'm glad we're back with another episode of the Power Siphon Miner SSF 0 to Hero run. I have lots to show you, starting with where we left off, a tier 16 alleyway map. Let's dive in. Alright ladies and gentlemen, what have I been up to? Well, first I'm trying to get a Marlene's fallacy, and one of the ways to do that in SSF is by chancing. A ritual offers very decent boots, which we don't end up using actually, because mine have chill immunity, which is quite strong. I've pretty much entirely updated King's March except disenchanting and recombinators. Someone asked in the comments why I think recombinators are stupid and dumb, which is what I said in my last video. I just really don't like the gameplay element of it, having to alteration spam bases, get a bunch of bases and then recombinating. It feels like anti-gaming to me, has nothing to do with crafting as far as I'm concerned, and even though it creates the strongest gear, I would rather spend my time doing anything else in the game. So that's why. The rest of King's March though, fully upgraded. I also don't really do map runners this time, it's too much work. I do like the sailors, they're kind of fun at least in my opinion, as long as they stop getting killed or starting new lives abroad. Back to crafting some flasks. I'm fully automating them this time as I have enough materials. Something I learned about flasks is that charges on critical strike don't work because it's not you who is doing crits, but it's your mines. That's going to be true a few more times in this video, by the way. I found a new amulet, replacing the Duresso unique. I craft some life on it, a cheap anointment for accuracy, and it's a decent one. Some of the best content you can do as Blight with this build is incredibly convenient with the mines and super safe. I need it for the oils, such as this golden oil, for some anointments later down the line. I keep vendoring and upgrading idols as I go, and by doing this you slowly get an idol coffer full of useful ones. Searing Exarch pack size will come in handy, for example. And talking idols, Ritual is a decent source of them as well, as they are seemingly considered generic uniques. They show up all the time. I drop a 22% life flask, and after some alteration spamming, it's a great upgrade. I like instant recovery on low life. The Nameless Seer decides to give me a Fury Valve, which is also my 4th ascendancy. I take it, initially just for testing purposes, but decided to equip it anyway. It's a good amulet, and only the last modifier doesn't stack, I think. The rest is useful, and another 2 extra projectiles is noticeable in terms of clear speed. I anoint it once more with the same anointment for now. Here you see what a double Fury Valve looks like, lots of blue beams. The end goal is still a Marlene's fallacy, but that's an uncommon random drop. A Ritual gives me a Blizzard Crown with tons of flat cold damage. I think it fits the build quite nicely actually, although I am not sure if flat non-lightning elemental damage is a great idea. Let me know in the comments, and specifically why or why not. I throw a few essences and a benchcraft at it, and this is the result. I decide to do some Eldritch upgrades to 3 pieces of gear. I don't have much of this currency, but the gloves get accuracy per frenzy charge and flat lightning damage, the chest evasion and crit multi, and the boots action speed and fizz as extra lightning, which again I'm not sure works on this build. I decided to make a little passive tree swap and craft a Pierce enchant on the gloves. With double Fury Valve I don't need much Pierce anymore, meaning the 3 points in the passive tree can be redistributed. Ritual offers a great fractured shield. A single essence does the job. I'm happy with cold res and decent life roll for now, plus the block is an added bonus. I find a portal gem from turning in divination cards, and as I have some free gem slots, I link it to cast on death. Not that I die a lot anymore, but if I do, it saves me the walk of shame. An activity I've been doing quite a bit is Maven farming. Assuming you have the idol I dropped last episode, the destructive play for multiple map bosses, this is a great way to farm more idols and gradually upgrade all of them. Plus, all of these bosses I need for their fragments for the Atlas progression. Once you get going and start getting those idols, map bosses start dropping so many maps, it's a little bit ridiculous almost, and very fun. Combine it with the Maven invitations where you can redo entire fights and again gain a bunch of idols, and all of a sudden it's not hard to farm loads of idols, vendor recipe them 3 to 1 and find plenty of upgrades. On the flip side though, if you lack that crucial idol, the destructive play, then what are you going to do? Not Maven witnessed maps, that's for sure, as it's a waste. What I did before I had it was just farm Searing Exarch, which drops some idols, but I think 3 to 4 times less of them than the Maven strategy, and just hope to get lucky to find the correct unique idol. but it can take a while. It's very much RNG, and not having the idol versus having it makes a huge difference. Your enjoyment of the idol system in SSF likely completely relies on if you find the correct idols or not, which is most likely the main downside of this system. After you have it, however, the system is a lot of fun. You can see how broken it truly becomes, and I'm looking forward to experiment a bit more with it. Notable maps to run, by the way, in Solar Self-Found you shouldn't skip are the synthesis maps. They give tons of gold, in this case tons of Gemcutter's prisms, and they can also drop the Cortex, which in itself is worth running because there are some fun rewards. I'm looking for the Bottled Faith primarily. I think that would be a great flask to have in this build. Needless to say, after all these runs I got plenty of fragments, so time to do some Elder, twice of course, because you need 2 of his fragments, and then 2 of the Shapers with no real notable loot, but I do get lucky and I get 4 different fragments from all of them, so that means it's time for the Uber Elder, who goes down without too many issues. Again, a Watcher's Eye, and again a bad one. Finally, it's time, after all the witnessing, to fight the Maven herself for that last Voidstone, which also goes quite well. Single target damage for these bosses is completely fine as far as I'm concerned, and as you don't have to aim the mines much, it's quite consistent damage too in a fight like this. I decided to incorporate a Val Grace into the build. I used to run a Val Haste, but the Val Grace as a panic button when surrounded by enemies is actually quite nice to have. I'm leveling some stuff in the offhand, which I'm trying to corrupt, but I'm not getting anything useful so far. I've been messing around a little bit with cluster jewels as well. I'm not trying to get the most optimal build here, I'm just having some fun in an SSF setting. Feel free to make suggestions on the path of building, however. Here I'm incorporating endurance charges into the build, which actually feels pretty good. It's debatable, I'm sure, this technology in an evasion build, but it does synergize with Immortal Call, and my evasion isn't super high, so I do get hit here and there. Pretty random, but I dropped an Arakali's Fang. I'm interested to see if that still synergizes with the Servant or Arakali, or if it's basically now a dead item. A little later I dropped this really great minion wand as well. Maybe the game is trying to tell me something. I find a 4-node mine cluster, and after some lucky crafting, it's a decent upgrade once more. Here you see the rest of the cluster set up too. There's a Prismatic Heart in the big one, Guerrilla Tactics in the mine cluster, Grace Reservation in that small one, and also Endurance Charges in the other small one. Another unique upgrade I'm hunting for is a Lightning Coil, and this ritual provides 3 out of the 8 cards. I also find another Seer in a map that drops the Lightning Coil card, and I scribe those cards onto Jungle Valley, which I intend to run quite a bit. After finding a few more in the Jungle Valley, I can turn in the cards, and by using an Omen of the Jeweler to get 6 sockets, plus an Omen of Connections that I dropped in the previous episode, I can 6-link this Lightning Coil. I'll talk a little bit more in the gear section about this item. The final upgrade of this episode is a Fractured Wand that I got. After using some flat damage essences and hitting another flat damage modifier, I decided to complete the Elemental Trinity, but I think in retrospect it's better perhaps to craft spell damage instead, as I have a lot of flat damage already. So that's ultimately what I did, that's what you're gonna see in this footage. According to PoB at least, this is the case, spell damage in this case is better. Either way, pretty decent upgrade once more. Let's do a short character overview. I am level 96, still 3.7k health. Offensively, hit capped and crit capped. Defensively, spell suppression capped, resistance capped, but I did lose a bit of chaos res. 36% block chance, chill and freeze immunity, and decent movement speed. I have 6 power charges, 5 frenzy charges, and 3 endurance charges if I take a hit. For gear, I talked a bit about this wand. Crafted spell damage I think is superior in my particular case. The Blizzard Crown is additional damage on a decent base. The Fury Valve Amulet we discussed as well. More projectiles primarily helps with clear, not much with single target damage. The Lightning Coil works in multiple ways. The flat added lightning damage is great, of course. Some armor and evasion isn't too bad either, and the minus lightning res is easy to counter. Most notably, it turns 50% of physical damage taken into lightning damage, which according to the internet stacks with the Cloak of Flame Ascendancy, which converts 40% of physical damage into fire damage taken, meaning 90% of incoming physical damage is converted. On the other hand, the internet, meaning a Reddit thread, also seems to agree that a good rare armor plus some endurance charges likely offers more defenses, which I can imagine is true. I don't have such a rare armor currently, but the lightning coil probably isn't the final upgrade here, or best in slot in any way. For now, in Solar Self-Found however, it is pretty good. I will glance over the other pieces, they are pretty decent, but I still think nothing outstanding, I would say. Just good, decent Solar Self-Found gear that you can easily get yourself as well. In the passive tree, I primarily want to focus on the cluster. For now, I decided on an 8-node lightning damage large cluster. I don't have a spell damage one, but once I do, I think I will go for spell damage instead, as that likely scales better with the build. I have one medium mind cluster jewel and hopefully I'll find another for another guerrilla tactics. And then the small nodes provide sublime form, allowing me to also run a level 21 vitality in the setup, plus enduring composure for endurance charges. I do like vitality, it's decent quality of life. Once I find an enlighten, however, I will probably drop it and go for skitterbots or something instead. Right now, I don't have enough mana for skitterbots, unfortunately. Another option, instead of the enlighten, is a small mana reservation cluster jewel, but those are also pretty rare and I don't have a single one yet. Now let's conclude this episode, guys. I feel I've come pretty far. Please feel free to suggest a bunch of stuff in the comments section. You are very welcome to do so based on the path of building. Please note though that I'm not talking much about damage in this video, as that's simply not super relevant to me. The build works as intended, easily clears tier 16 so far and all pinnacle bosses. I have yet to attempt Uber content, but I'm not a great fan really of tier 17s to begin with. Again though, any suggestions are welcome. I've incorporated quite a few things from your comments already. And then the question is like, will I do another episode? And I'm honestly not sure that you guys will get one. Because I'm not sure I'm going to get enough new stuff to happen to warrant another episode. But at least I will keep playing for a while longer. And then you'll just have to wait and see, I suppose. For now, I can say the Scavenger Power Siphon Miner works incredibly well, and in the hands of someone who understands builds better than I do, I'm sure it can be an absolute powerhouse. From time to time though, I just want to be inspired by a good build but not follow it to the letter, so I also learn a thing or two. And that's what I try to do here, and I'm not unhappy with my little creation for now. Although, again, I'm sure it can be improved quite a bit. I hope you had a good time watching this episode. Let me know what you think. Also, let me know if you have any suggestions or if I made any errors. Subscribe and like for more PoE SSF content. Thanks for watching and making it to the end. Love you all. See you soon. Bye bye.